Kakadu to me, I mean, it's easily explained as lifeblood.
Photos just can't do this place justice.
We made it. Have a go. Oh wow.
It's an amazing experience to find your tribe.
It was everything you saw I've seen on YouTube and Facebook and some. Do yourself a favour and get to Kakadu.
First Kakadu barra landed.
Had the idea through the MDC and Aussie Owners group, and a group of friends that we've met over the years at the Big Red Bash that's through the organised group, that I'd like to invite a couple of people along to continue to do Kakadu with us.
We hadn't been to Kakadu before, so he said, I'll take you and show you around. So we planned it then, and just through the last 12 months we'd organised the trip, and a few other people joined in, and we've sort of got here now, and it's been terrific.
We've never been to Kakadu before. This is the longest travel that we've had.
Yep.
We downloaded Polar Steps was a suggestion from someone else, and have been looking at the map and sending photos of it back to the kids. They're like, wow, look how far you're going for your first trip.
Travelling in convoy's got its challenges, but it's also got its benefits. Generally when I do these trips, I do it solo, and I do have a lot of trust in these people that are with us, and they are good friends. So I thought I'd throw the invite out there to them, just to add a bit more to what is normally just me sitting on a rock.
Yeah, it's really good when you travel with a crew, especially a really good crew. Then you'll get along, and you can sort of share the load a bit. Like someone can cart firewood, someone can cart cooking utensils like camp ovens. Someone else can cart more water, and we can sort of share it between us as well.
We're packing up together, we're setting up together, we're sharing food between us, but also the stories when we're sitting around or going for walks. We're all learning different things about each other, and that's really good for everybody's headspace, because we all want to get away, and being able to have those conversations and also run a mark every now and then.
When you drive along the road, someone will spot something, they'll call it out in the two-way. We also have a little bit of banter at times, makes it a bit fun. Someone might have a car problem, we all jump in, give them a hand. It makes life a little bit easier when you're on the road, just have a few people around, especially good friends as well.
I didn't see how big the hole was.
What have you done? Done yourself a mischief.
Came over the radio, stay to the left if you want level ground. And I said to Chris, yeah, what's the fun in that?
Yeah.
I didn't see how bad it was.
This is what happens. Yeah. It's all good, it's part of the adventure. Character building. Woo! Out today.
Is really good. It's an amazing experience to find your tribe.
A little mobile community, I suppose you call it there, and I mean, I've just changed the CV over in a car that was broken in camp. I couldn't do it on my own. It took a couple of us to do it, to sort of manhandle bits and pieces. We're not in a workshop. You do have people around to support you. It's not only if something goes wrong, if you're not feeling well, if you're happy and you just want to say something to somebody. You've always got someone there, and it's a great experience to get out here and experience it with good friends.
So this trip we're travelling with our brand new Aussie XL15 Mark III. It's pretty new to the market. We've only just picked it up in May, and we did one shakedown trip with it before we headed to the Big Red Bash. So far we're really enjoying it. A bit more space than our old van, which was a Forbes 13 Plus. And also this trip's been pretty good because we've got the extra bed at the front, a bit more space for our son Jackson, and he can just jump in there for the quick overnighters. We're doing an
XT19 and it's been great, very comfortable. We've been on the road now for 3 odd weeks, haven't had to charge it once. It'll be at 100% when I get back there this afternoon on power. The new systems are fantastic on that side of things. It's been great travelling around Kakadu in it.
We're currently in our third MDC, which is the XL15 Mark III. Prior to this, we had an XT12 that we bought in 2018, which we loved, and previous to that, we had a rear-fold MDC that we purchased in 2014, so 10 years for us. So shouted ourselves a 10-year anniversary present and upgraded to the Mark III. Running around Kakadu in this thing has been awesome.
Made contact with Patsy, who is one of the traditional people from up here and a well-known identity in this part of the world. I mentioned fishing and she jumped at it straight away. So yeah, we took off down to the Billabong to go fishing.
She took us to one of her secret fishing spots and we got to see her on the hand line. She was a gun with that thing.
Weapon,
just nailed it every time.
I've never seen anyone
everywhere.
handline fish a lure, but she did it with absolute skill and class.
She outfished everyone. She was amazing.
First Kakadu barra landed.
Her fishing technique with the hand line, unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. Very, very talented lady.
Yeah, I got to stand with her behind the crocodile fence, which was made on the spot by everybody contributing and putting timber in place, and talking to her about the way that she's swinging her line and casting out. It was just, and she would whip it back in and you could see that she was not happy with where it was landing, and you can see that line was the same every single time. She's a very, very talented woman.
You know, the boys are all fishing and you could see the fish come off the chew, and she'd sit back down and I'd watch, and then I'd, you know, see the signs and I'd be like, Patsy, they're on the chew again, jump in before those boys do.
I've never seen anyone fish with a hand line with a lure and be so good at it and be able to cast that far at the same spot every single time and not miss.
I think we ended up with about half a dozen barra and a Saratoga.
Daniel helped her light a fire and we cooked it traditionally on the coals and shared it around, and that experience will stay with me forever. She's a wealth of knowledge.
For me, it's about the people and the connections, and it was nice to make those connections with those ladies.
Righty, we just pulled up at the turn off at the Jim Jim Falls campground. We're just going to go check out the information sign, see what we're in for, see what it's all about.
Jim Jim Falls is a spectacular place there that you've got a number of walks available. So the first walk we did was up to the plunge pool on the beach.
It was a little bit up and down terrain, but then we hit the big boulders and it's like climbing over these massive big rocks. So it's making sure your foot placement's right, making sure you got hold of a rock.
It's quite slippery.
Very slippery, but when we got there it was just amazing.
We made it. Have a go. Oh wow. It's not that I know other words you could use, I think. Just wow.
We were in thongs, which soon turned out to be bare feet. I'm thinking to myself, I don't really do this in bare feet, but anyway, we're here now and this is what we'll do. But when we got there, the reward at the end was fantastic, and the big swimming hole was unreal, and the fish in there, and it was like being in an amphitheatre, a natural amphitheatre, just surrounded by rock face, and it was awesome.
I was told before we left that Jim Jim walk was going to be a challenge, climbing over boulders, things like that. The group were great, really supportive. It was a hard walk for me, just because I'm a bit dubious of rocks. But oh my goodness, that reward at the end.
To stand at the bottom of the waterfalls and even just some of the small amounts of water and looking up the escarpment and the vertical gardens that grow, the colour of the water.
It was so special, and the little fish biting our feet and me screaming and making everyone freak out. Love it.
The whiteness of the sand,
Yeah.
the red of the rock, the green of the plants, the blue of the sky is just amazing to just stand there and look up in awe of the spot that you've crawled your way over boulders
Yeah,
and pair of
that's
longs to
right,
get to.
Exactly, and the reward of the swim at the end was awesome.
Sitting in that water and looking all around at those rocks, just spectacular. And I actually found the walk coming home a lot better because I took my sunnies off and I could see where I was going.
Second day at Jim Jim, we decided that we'd do the escarpment walk, and the top walk I suppose it is, where you crawl up the escarpment and go right to the top of Jim Jim Falls.
Well, we did a 6-hour walk, they said, 6 kilometres up to Jim Jim Falls, right up the top.
And it was a difficult walk. It was a lot of climbing, a lot of grabbing onto trees so you didn't fall back down the hill.
You know, stepping on rock after rock and hoping that the rock holds because it's a long way down.
It was a scramble over rocks and then a vertical climb up rocks and trees and over tree roots. And when we got to the top, I looked at my watch and we'd only travelled like 500 metres, and I'm thinking, we've just done like 500 metres vertical. We got to the top, which was hard going, and then it was a walk across through bush, which was quite amazing. And then the sun came out because we left at 6:30 in the morning to try and beat the heat a bit. But when we got across the top, it was starting to heat up. But when we got to the end, how cool was that?
To the edge.
To the edge, right at the edge.
Because there's no end, you can keep going.
Yeah, we're right on top of it. It was, because you come to like where the creek comes through to the falls and it makes lagoons, and that was all crystal clear with rocks in it and some really crystal like white sand.
Me and my mum laid down and stuck our heads over the edge because I learnt on this trip if you stand up and look over you'll get dizzy and then fall. So I didn't want to do that.
We were able to look over that edge down to the beach where we had been the previous day, look along the whole waterway, see the croc trap that we passed on the way. We could see that glistening in the sun from up top there. You could hear the waterfalls, and there was some beautiful pools up there that were, again, so clear and amazing to see fish. And you know how high you've climbed, and there's fish.
Yeah, exactly.
And the water below, and there's fish there.
Fantastic view there, looking down the gorge and then out onto the opposite escarpments.
I took a pair of binoculars with me and just had a bit of a pan around, and as far as the eye can see, it's just something of interest, you know, and it's the sort of place where you can spend a fair bit of time. But the hike down, well, I thought my knees were screaming at me on the way up. Well, on the way down, well, that was another story. They were yelling even louder.
Yeah, if you get the chance to do that one, it's well worth it.
Well, you get time to readjust and pull a couple of faces.
1, 2, 3, smile.
Heading down, back down about halfway back now. But yeah, going down is just as challenging as coming up. Yeah, so one of the main reasons we got back into like camping like this was because I was going through a few mental health challenges, and I realised once we started getting out and getting close with nature, camping with like-minded people, chatting to your mates, you know, it just started making you feel a hell of a lot better. You come out these little trips, you know, you work for 12 months of the year pretty hard to get what you want at home, but then all of a sudden you hit a bit of a downer, you go on a holiday, come somewhere like this, and all of a sudden you're refreshed, you go back with a clear head, and you can start again. Any problems that you come up, you know, it's pretty easy to get through them. So it's just sitting around a campfire with mates, telling stories, telling lies, having a beer, not even saying anything at all, but it works. So we love it.
Kakadu to me, I mean, it's easily explained as lifeblood, basically to me. That you know, my parents lived up here and worked up here for a while back in the early 70s. They actually met each other up here, and through that connection, Dad's also made connection with some of the TAs of the area. Travelling back here, my first visit was back in the late 80s, 89 I think it was, as an 11-year-old, and fell in love with the land straight away, even as a kid. And took me many years to come back up here, but and unfortunate as well that my father passed. And in chats with Jeffrey and other people that Dad had met up here, we decided to bring his ashes up here and basically lay him to rest in a land that he was familiar with and loved, which was Kakadu.
One of the really special moments was when Daniel took us into where his dad's ashes were. It was a special sacred spot, and not many people get to go there, and we were privileged to be able to go in there with Dave, Daniel's friend and his dad's friend. Pretty emotional moment with everybody it was, and it's just
everyone, there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
It was pretty good to be able to sit there and taste Daniel's dad. And we've never met him before, but we're pretty good friends with Daniel. We have that sort of connection. We understand that the feelings that he would have went through, so it was a pretty good moment.
Hearing Daniel talk about his father so much and where his father's cave was, and actually seeing that was quite emotional. I had to have a little sneaky off and, go and just gather myself. It was really lovely for him to share that special moment with us.
I've been to Ubir a couple of times previously. It's a lovely place, but we had fortunate to get a couple of guides on this one here that went through and told us all about the paintings and the stories behind them, the background of the families, which was incredibly interesting just to listen to the stories.
Chris and I come through with Jackson, and so he was pretending to be Bob, our tour guide, and he did such an awesome job, and he remembered the stories really well, because a lot of the stories was about the kids didn't listen and then they were punished. So it was really cool to hear him recounting those stories, and the confidence that he had. I think he's got a little career there perhaps.
So we went to Ubir to see all the rock art. We had a few tour guides, which was really nice. And Jackson again was like right in there asking all the questions, and some of the rock art was just amazing. Like, to think it's still there this many years later is insane.
It was cool looking at all the artwork, because I learned a lot of the stories from the past people that have been here and their country, like you have to be quiet after 7 o'clock, otherwise the rainbow serpent will come get you. And nowadays we have technology. They used to do other stuff like fish with sticks and that. It's really cool.
If you hadn't met these people and you hadn't started up the conversation and taken the time to listen, you'd go away from here just seeing the touristy spots and not getting into the nitty-gritty of it and the heart of it. And that's sort of, you tap right into it when you speak to traditional landholders, landowners. Cahills Crossing, it's something I've seen on YouTube, something I've seen on Facebook before, and I sort of really wanted to go there, and I wasn't 100% sure where it was or what we're doing, because Daniel's been sort of planning it and he's done a cracking job, and so we went there and we ended up spending a good half day there, because I was just like, how cool is this place? And there was a couple of crocodiles just sunning themselves, and as the tide started to change, well, it's a different story altogether.
I've seen the photos and I've heard stories of Chris saying that he's towed guys over when he used to have the trucks, and I just thought, those crocodiles lined up like they do in the photos, that's kind of, you might be lucky if you got that. I just couldn't believe the action there.
A few of the guys went down and had a bit of a fish off the rocks, and as the tide came in, the crocodiles came from nowhere, and they're obviously waiting for the barramundi and to have a feed, and it was, you didn't know where to look. At 2 o'clock, when the tide changed, right through to possibly 3 o'clock, there was action. There was trucks crossing the crossing, there was crocodiles crossing the crossing, there was barramundi jumping, there was crocs opening their mouths. It was awesome. It was everything you saw, I've seen on YouTube and Facebook and some. It's one of those things you've really got to go there.
At 2 o'clock it becomes high tide, and that's basically their feeding time, so they all go down there and you can see all the barra jumping, and they all go up to where the tide's going down, and they just lay there and swim upstream and then just have their mouths open and the fish basically swim straight to them.
Jackson's a pretty keen fisherman, like his father, and it was really good to see him yesterday. He caught 2 farra. One was just short of the legal limit.
And just the look on his face alone, just catching those was amazing.
And the second one was 62 centimetres, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so we kept it, and he'd been speaking to Junior, one of the rangers, that morning, and he said, I'll catch you a barra.
Got a fish. There you go.
Is that for me? Thank you. This your catch? This your catch?
I said to him, when I go fishing, I'll bring you back one. And then I saw him, and that's the only fish we brought back, so I gave it to him.
Man of his word. Good on you. Jackson caught a few barra at Cahills Crossing and got a decent keeper, which he gave to the guide, which you would have seen this morning, Junior. He said he'd give him the fish if he caught one, so he gave him to him. He was pretty stoked about that.
I said to him I'd get you one, and when I got there, it took me a while. I caught one undersized one, so I had to put him back, but as soon as it hit like 2 o'clock, I caught a 63 centimetre one, and I gave it to him because I saw him at the car park.
True to his word, as we were walking out of Cahills Crossing, we ran into Junior, and he walked straight up to his truck and handed me the fish. And just like with a big smile on his face, he said, "This one's for you, mate." And Junior was pretty appreciative of it. So yeah, it was pretty special moment.
He's a good lad.
Quite a few barramundi there as well. I think first session there I caught about 4 or 5, and then went back for another session, got another 3 in the afternoon, which is challenging as well because you're trying to stand above the water high enough so a crocodile can't get you, and then you've got to try and land the fish and pull them up the rocks as well without losing them. So it's one of those rare places where you see multiple large crocodiles together without fighting. Managed to keep the crocs away until we decided to leave. I think one came in, got a bit curious, and it was that time to leave.
We are heading off on a bit of a trek back to where Mandy would have showed you this morning, to Ubir Lookout. So we're going to go do the sunset up on top of the rocks and have a bit of a look and see what it looks like. Apparently it's a pretty spectacular sight. The sunset at Ubir was pretty good. You could sort of have really good 360-degree views, and over one side there was sort of a big swamp, billabong area, which you could just imagine. It looked like you were, in Africa. You could have seen giraffes and lions running through there, gazelles. But we didn't see any buffalo. I thought it would have been pretty cool if we sort of heard a buffalo trotting through there. But then you have the escarpments over to the west, and behind you was really good. And the sun sort of came down and just put the colours into the rock. It was just pretty good.
Sunset, when we climbed up through past the artwork and up to the top of the rock, and we'd done the artwork earlier that morning, but we sort of stopped before we got to the top where the pinnacle is, because we wanted to sort of save that for the sunset. And so we climbed back up there in the afternoon, got up there around 5 o'clock and spent a couple of hours up there before the sun setted. And yeah, it was nice. It was actually on the sun setting side. Sure, it looked great, and that sun went that blood red colour, but the reflection on the rocks behind us and the escarpment, how it all went red, and the green canopy of the trees, that was sort of the highlight for me. It was definitely worth going back up there in the afternoon.
The rocks on one side and then that vast lagoon on the other, and then when the sun started going down, and it just, because we had those fires, that sun just got redder and redder. And there's nothing like a territory sunset, and to see it up on top of that rock, how amazing.
It didn't matter which way you looked, like Craig said, you're watching the rocks changing colour, but you also get that change of the blues and the pinks, in the sky behind as the sun's setting. So you're like, which way do I look? Everywhere I look, there's something beautiful.
I actually thought to myself at one point, how did all this happen in one spot? How did all this beauty just happen in one area? And it's really cool how it's a national park and how it's been protected and looked after, and how still the traditional landowners are still involved, and to keep it the way it is, you know.
Kakadu's a pretty special place, as I mentioned earlier there, and I mean, if you get the opportunity to come up here, whether it's for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, make the effort, get a plan in your head of what you want to do, what you want to see.
Do your research, plan where you want to go, but also have backup plans, because
You
different
don't
times,
really
you know,
know until you
it
hear
relies
that
on the
things
wet
are sharp.
season. You know, it's nature, and you know they might have a lot of rain, they might not have any rain. Things will be closed, things will be open. So you need to have it well planned and have backup plans if that one falls through.
If you do come, bring fishing rod, because you'll be catching a lot of fish, and make sure you bring a four-wheel drive, because we're watching people cross that crossing and little cars, and if you get stuck there, yeah, you're not getting out.
Photos just can't do this place justice.
Yeah, you can't fit it in the frame.
No, you can't. And you can try everything on your phone and or your decent camera or video camera, whatever. It doesn't do it justice. So
Just
one
the
of those
vastness. You can't capture the vastness. You have to stand in it.
just in the, you know, do yourself a favour and get to Kakadu. It's got to be on everybody's bucket list. You've got to do it.
We're all from different parts of Australia and we get to come together and do these trips. So not only seeing this amazing part of Australia and Kakadu, but catching up, just spending time, sitting around the campfire at night time is probably one of my favourite parts of the day, and just talking, laughing, putting shit on each other.